Hey guys, Dave Nixon for another episode of Musings. I have my good friend Kyle Weber on the podcast today. Now, I wanted to just quickly jump in and frame this conversation. Kyle and I actually start this conversation, which had nothing to do with nutrition or training or anything at all. We actually started talking a little bit about, I suppose, the state of Australia at the moment and the split and the divide between males and females and what that kind of looks like from our end and how we perceive our role in making that better. And so I just hope you guys really take that with a grain of salt and listen to the whole thing for that. Otherwise, after that, we get into plenty of banter. We get into plenty of conversations about our past and what we went through in order to become to where we are at. Otherwise, I just wanted to make sure I could frame that for you guys so you could understand that both of us are very aware of mistakes that we've made in the past, and it's our goal, our personal goal individually, to make sure that we can do what we can to become the best men we can to actually help Australia produce the best men that we can. So either way, just wanted to frame that for you guys before you jump into the podcast. I hope you guys really enjoy it. Otherwise, as always, peace and pizza. I'll see you guys soon.
I want to feel important too. I don't like it when you control the frame. Yes. I like to go, no, hang on a second. Let's make sure we're on even playing fields here.
Yeah, totally. I get it. Yeah, indeed. I saw you pour it as well. You're like, a little bit more for you, Drunky McDrunk.
Just got to make sure I get every edge I can get.
Totally.
This is my mentor from 15 years ago.
15 years ago. Fuck.
15 years ago.
15.
You see that? I just started off your podcast for you.
Well, you're welcome to introduce it if you like. I'm down with that.
This is Mood Prep. Part Kyle featuring David.
Part Kyle. Just not all of it.
Part Kyle featuring David.
Parts of Kyle. Please tell me which part of Kyle.
You can have every bit of Kyle that you want, or you can have minimal bits. It's up to you. Usually depends on how much you want to pay me.
Yep.
But we'll just go from there.
I reckon a few more of those whiskeys that you just poured me, and I think I'll have all of parts of Kyle.
You're already ready to have all parts of Kyle if you want. Severed parts.
I think I'm already stuttering my words. Yes, it's a longer Mood Prep. It's Musings. So thank you very much for coming out and hanging out and spending your what is today? Friday lunchtime with me.
I know.
This is going to be exciting. So what's been going on, Mr. Kyle? We're just trying to establish that we have known each other for how long?
15 minus 2 years.
So
give or take
13 years.
13 years.
It's whiskey.
15 minus 2 years and a little bit of nip.
Yeah, that's right. And as long as you didn't say tip, we're good. So it was. Now, we both worked at a gym called Flames Fitness together.
Yeah.
And then, which I think, because one of the conversations we had earlier was just like, well, what about our development since then? And like you're 28 now?
Yeah.
Yep. I'm 29. And
27 and a half.
Okay, I was rounding you up. I was trying to get you closer.
Round me down. It gets me closer to like younger specimens for mating purposes.
Right. As long as
because once I hit 30, it's downhill from there.
Well,
that's when you start scraping the barrel.
Well, you get to the second round.
I don't want the second round.
Yeah.
I'm out after the first round, and that's it. I'm done.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think there's a lot in that.
I don't want to dive into that.
Yeah. I think there's.
I don't want to make it to the second round. I'm quite happy with the first.
Mate, to be honest, I don't think I get paid enough to go into that.
Yeah. I want to do one of those the Mark Hunt knockout walkaways. First round, that's it. Done.
Right. I got you. Yeah. Probably because of the race of domestic violence recently. It's probably which actually, to be honest.
Too much whiskey. I didn't even realise what I was saying.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big conversation. Something probably not too much we can go into at the moment, but there's a lot of divide with male and females in the media at the moment, which is really interesting, and it's also really, really dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's really dangerous because there's a very, very small minority of men that do very, very, very horrible things.
Yeah.
And the challenge of that is the fact that we have to be careful that to make the difference between what is, what weak men do isn't a reflection for all these other men, right? Yeah. But what I'm getting at with this, I suppose, just to touch on it, was like we have to be careful to make sure that the actions of these weak men don't weaken all of us men.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's like, I grew up with three older sisters. Like I grew up against domestic violence, watching my mother be beaten by her partner, and it's just like I'm standing there with every female in that sense. It's like, but we don't come to a solution by weakening men.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what we need is actually more positive masculine role models.
Yeah, I think as well that kind of ties into one of our roles as a male should be to show females how other men should be. And that can be by the way that we treat them. Yeah. Now, this is what I've learned from, one, having a daughter, and two, working specifically and exclusively with females, is that I see the side of men that I don't like. Because most of the females that come to me to work with me, I see the issues. I see all the problems that you see in the media. And I go, right, a lot of the time, yes, these women want me to fix them up, they want me to help them, they want me to help them get better, but at the same time, they also need an understanding of not all men are like that. But when that's all that they're exposed to, then you can't expect anything else of them. So I feel like one of our jobs as being males and leaders to an extent, especially people like you and I, should be to show women like that, hey, this is the way that you've been treated. That's a minority. So we need to show them something different. And that's not to say that, women are weak and need to follow us, but it is to say that we need to be presenting ourselves as that example. Because a lot of the time men will go, oh, they're not like that. Look at me. I'm stronger than that. That's wrong. Women are wrong. No, you need to show them that instead of just saying, hey, like that's not the way that it goes. Show them the way that people should be treated and the way that men should be behaving and acting.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. That I've been trying to sit on it and think about it for a long time because it's like these are horrible things. Now, just to clarify, the world is safer than it's ever been.
Yeah.
That's like statistically correct. The world is safer than it's ever been. The difficulty is that the media is so easily accessible now.
Yeah.
And before in the day, you'd have a newspaper, you'd have to read the newspaper to be able to get the news. And on top of that, you would have to watch news on TV at particular times.
Yeah.
Now news is available anywhere. And it's not interested in whether you're scared or not. The news actually wants your attention.
Yeah.
And so that's where if you listen to a Current Affair or Today Tonight or shows like that, it's like, dun dun dun.
Yeah.
On Tonight Show, this Aussie battler avoids $20 of tax. And you're just like, oh my God, what a horrible person. But it's actually trying to evoke that in people as well. And so what the difficulty is that, yes, these horrible things are happening and we need to band together, not as men and women, but as people.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about is something that I really align with because it's like, how do I come to this party with something that's a good conversation? And I'm like, and I was listening to a podcast the other day and it talked about positive masculine models. And I'm like, right, yeah, I don't want to say that either like feminism is incorrect or I don't want to sit there. I don't feel that that's correct, what I'm saying there. But understanding that what the message can be is like, what is a positive masculine model? It's like, yes, that's what it is. And there's a quote that I repeat so often that I listened to in Jocko Willink and Jordan Peterson podcast. And it was a harmless man is not a good man.
Yeah.
A good man is a very, very dangerous man that has it under voluntary control.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd agree.
Yeah, sort of understanding that the perpetrators of these attacks are weak men.
Yeah.
And maybe not weak physically, maybe they're weak virtuously. And it's just like, okay, well, how do we do that? Well,
they're weak because they're unled.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel they can become strong men, but they need to be led by other stronger men. And not stronger physically, but stronger in a way that's going to put them on the right path and has the ability to strengthen their beliefs and their values to go, no, what you're doing right now, like, makes you a piece of shit. So don't do that. You're a horrible man. Here's how you can be a good man.
Yeah, you got a choice.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest thing is that, like, we have the power to choose our actions.
Yeah.
We don't get to choose the consequences of those actions.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's something that's really misunderstood. And it's difficult coming into this era at the moment because it's almost like we're like celebrating victimhood.
Yeah.
And also we're like celebrating feelings.
Yeah.
And it's like, hang on a sec, like it's not like we should ignore feelings. I don't think that's the answer. But when feelings are more important than facts or how other people may observe the situation or values, then it's like, no, that's not the case. Like, I know for me that I am responsible for how I feel.
Yeah.
You might do something and I respond and that's the reaction that I have. But I know inherently in me, you didn't make me feel that way. Yeah. It's a response that somehow I've manifested because of, well, probably not a response, maybe it's a reaction.
And if your reaction doesn't coincide with the way that I presented something to you, then I take that on board and I go, okay, this is the way that he felt in relation to what I said. Therefore, how can I say things in a way that can improve that feeling or that can show him a different way and can show him a different feeling to go, let's say you had a negative reaction to something that I said, something that I perceive as negative. And I go, right, well, Dave obviously took this in a bad way for what I can see. I don't want him to feel like that. He might have misinterpreted something that I said, not because he didn't understand me, but because I didn't say it in a way that he could understand me. Therefore, how can I show him what I did mean by that and have him turn around and go, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And that was like we were talking before. It's the power is, you don't have to agree with somebody to respect them.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's where it's like, well, if you want to be respected, then respect people.
Yeah.
And respect the person as a person. This was an interesting conversation. So that I had, I think, with either through my like learnings and my study or through with my coach, and it was understanding like most people don't love people.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, well, probably not most, but there is definitely a ratio of people, and it's not a small number that actually don't love the person that they're with. They love who the person is to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, rather than going, I'm complete and I choose you, it's you complete me, or I love what you are to me. In the same way that people don't look at a chair as a chair, they see it as a seat.
Yeah.
They see it for what it's useful for.
Yeah.
And it's really
I'm going to sit on you, but I'm not going to take you out to dinner.
Sure, yeah. Well, I'm not going to sit on anyone, but maybe you're right. But a few more of these, and who knows? Chero's coming, so make it a party. Not actually, he's already got a child. But so in this circumstance,
so do I. How many homes do you want to wreck in one day?
Well, is there a cap?
You do as many as you want.
Yeah, okay.
As long as I guide you along the right way, then we're happy.
As long as I can get an Uber there, I'm fine.
Yeah, easy.
So, but what were we talking about? So
Flames Fitness.
Yes, that's where it was. But this idea of like being able to see my girlfriend as who she is in the world, who she's showing up as, with all of her history, that I know and don't know, with all of her love, with all of her fears, with all, who she is, and seeing that I was existing with her, and I'm like, oh fuck, that really sort of changed the way that I viewed our relationship.
Yeah.
And it sort of it opened me up to realize how often I was just like, oh okay, well I got to do this today, I got to do that today, and all right, I'll make sure I packed her in with this, and I'll see what she's doing with that, and it's just like became this fucking like box that I checked, and I'm like, well next thing I buy a caravan, and I'm like, and then I'm off around Australia.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just like, no, fuck that. I was like, so it was really interesting sort of moving into that space and then going, hang on a sec, there's two individuals here.
Yeah.
How do I just breathe with this person and understand the best of who they are and put myself in their shoes as best I can? Yeah. So, and it changed my relationship a lot.
Yeah, I think that's important too, because it's when people don't see the other person as what they are and who they are and accept it as that, and that's what causes the issues. Whether it be in a personal relationship, a professional relationship, whatever it is, if you can't understand them for who they are, and if you can't bring them towards getting to a certain level, if you don't understand where they want to be in their life, then you're never going to be contributing to them properly, which you can argue is either your fault or their fault, but at the same time, they're just not going to feel fulfilled by you. And at some point, it's going to dwindle. And I know with me, especially when it comes to business, it was a big shift that I had to make from going, as what we were talking about before, like, you work for me, therefore you've got to do this task, and you haven't done it, why hasn't it been done, to when I switched to going, all right, these people have my back, but if I don't have theirs, then I've got nothing, because they won't have mine after that, and they can only deal with having my back for a certain period of time, and then I'm screwed. So therefore, if they've got me while I'm working towards something bigger and they're supporting my mission, I need to step back and go, all right, cool, you can support my mission, that's great, I love it and I appreciate it, but how can I support yours? Because theirs is going to be different to mine. They can still be aligned, but they might have their own mission. You know, like Sean's, for example, I know everything that he wants to do with his photography stuff. So I want to go, okay, cool, you're doing everything you can for me, you see what you want to take and you see the opportunities that I can give to you. But what can I do for you right now that's going to make you feel fulfilled by me? Because that way we can work together on something. But if you don't understand the person and you don't understand their desires and what they're working towards for them, not for you, then you're never going to be able to contribute to life long term in a positive way, which is going to cause a dysfunctional relationship eventually. It might not happen soon, but in some time in the next 3-5 years, you're going to run into issues, and every relationship will end because of unmet expectations on one party. And so if they're not meeting yours, or if you're not meeting theirs, whatever it is, if you don't understand that person, you can never meet their expectations in the first place. Whether they put them on you or not, they're still going to have them there. They're still going to have something that they want to achieve. They're going to have something that they want to desire. And I feel it's your job, if you're going to be entering into a relationship with somebody, again, whether it's personally or professionally, that you need to find what that desire is and then build them up to work towards it. Yeah,
look, I think what you're saying there is pretty bang on. Well, at least I align heavily with this idea of like, so I don't have staff, I don't have employees. I have a team.
You got a team.
I have a team. And it's like what is it you want to do? And can you use this facility, my gym, which is their gym, I suppose. It's just that I've got more risk on the table. That's the only fucking difference.
Exactly.
That's it. And it's like, and that's not leverage, by the way.
No.
That's not leverage over
It's
them.
choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And so what that is going like, can you use this gym to help develop you into a better human being to do good things with your life? Right, and like I operate from the space that there's only two things that matter in life. That's it. Everything else is a subcategory of that, and that's how you contribute and the memories you make.
Yeah,
that's it. And it's like, so, is it you want to develop like public speaking skills for other areas. And I've had people like leave here and move to Melbourne or somewhere, and they go, I didn't realize how much I learnt there carried over to my new job in a completely different industry.
Exactly.
And it's like, yes, because we're not in the health industry teaching people, we're in the people industry teaching health.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference in that. And so I really heavily agree with going, these are people here that you are working with. They're not no one wants to work for you.
Yeah.
You know, you're not a fucking little mini dictator that people are just itching at the bite to come and work for you. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And if you want to do it that way, then the common thing you hear from that person is, good help is hard to find. It's like, yeah, stop looking for things that have already been built and start building individuals.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like no one owes you anything.
Yeah.
And it's a cliche, but it's cliche because it's true.
Yeah.
So it's been used so often that we kind of neglect the meaning of it.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
no one owes, you don't owe me anything here. I don't owe you anything here.
Yeah.
And vice versa downstairs for me and for Sean and for everyone else for you.
Yeah.
And when we understand that and we both choose to be here, then that's a relationship.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. Because we're relating to each other. It's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I'm really interested. So for my background, because I do want to go back and talk about our development since the early days of no stubble,
and less wrinkles.
Yeah, and I mean,
the crow's feet weren't around.
Your calves have been the same size.
Oh, they haven't stopped.
They haven't stopped. But before that though, like, give me a bit more of a breakdown. You've changed from Nutrivolve to the Physique Coach, correct?
Yes.
So give me and my listeners and your listeners that listen in a breakdown of exactly who you are and what it is that you do now.
So I started off obviously nutrition coaching, trying to help people understand more about nutrition. So you talk a lot about health IQ. I could call it nutrition IQ to get you to understand the same sort of thing.
Yep.
I didn't want to just give a diet plan to somebody. I wanted them to understand what they were doing. And sure, diet plan was part of it, but to me, I wasn't fulfilled unless they were actually doing that. Now, I spent a lot of time, I don't want to talk too much about the specifics of it, more about how I evolved through that process. So when I started Nutrivolve, I always wanted to go, I don't want to be the face of something. I want to have this company and I'll have people working with me. And it was always people working with me, but it was never I don't want to have everyone coming to Nutrivolve because they want to be with Kyle.
Sure.
I wanted it to be this is the banner. And then I realized, it would have been 4 years later, that I turned around and thought, no, there's nobody leading this banner.
And how long have you been running it for?
6 years now.
Okay, so about 2 years ago.
Yeah, about 2 years ago, yeah. I realized, I was like, there's nobody running this banner. And therefore, that's why no one is showing it the same sort of respect as what I give it. So sure, we had great testimonials, I had great results, we had a shitload of clients, but it didn't have the direction that I wanted it to take. It wasn't taking an educational pathway like what I wanted it to. It was just contributing to the same problem that I wanted to get rid of in the industry. And it was a big issue because I had people getting on stage, they were getting great results, they were winning things, I had people losing weight, but they weren't happy. And it wasn't fulfilling me. And a turning point for me was when I looked back in 2015 and I had two girls competing in a bodybuilding show and they both won. One of them turned professional, she can compete overseas, they'd been working with me for a very long period of time, and I was really, really happy on the day, and then the next day I could not give a single shit. And I go, wow, what is with it? Like, I'd been working so hard to get people to that kind of level. I wanted to be respected in that bodybuilding and fitness space. I wanted people to see me as like the leader. I had that, and I had everybody kissing my ass, and I was like, get the fuck away from me, I don't care. And it made me take a really big mental shift and go, what is it that's making me happy? And at that point, I threw away pretty much half my clients and just went, nah, I don't want to do this way anymore. I wanted the people that were happy to learn from me and that I could lead and show them the way that I wanted to change, and creating a bit of a shift in the industry, that what I always wanted to do. And I realized that at that point, I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. My cause had changed, and it hadn't changed because of something that I knew about. It was subconscious, and I was able to look at it then and go, I'm doing the wrong thing for me. I don't feel fulfilled right now. And that's when I changed to Physique Coach, because Physique Coach allowed me to have a banner that I could lead, that I could stand behind, and I could sort of just rip off the band-aid and go, hey motherfuckers, it's Kyle. Yeah. Like, this is me, this is what I'm about. If you like it, awesome, come along with me, I'm going to teach you along the way. If you don't like it, I also don't give a fuck. So that's cool. And Physique Coach then started off as me, and there was a lot of issues that I had doing that. You know, I've always been very out there. I've always been good at speaking. I can talk to people. I can communicate with everybody. But for some reason with business, I didn't want to do it. And I think that might have been because I didn't want people to see me fail. I didn't want to feel failure myself, because I'd worked so hard to do it for ever since the start of my professional career. Since we stopped the gym, I was like, all right, I've got to go on to working for myself. And I didn't want people to see me going backwards at all. And that's when I thought, well, if I just throw myself out there, what's the worst that can happen? Cool, they'll see me go backwards, but fuck, it's going to fire me up to not do that. So I did that, and then that just grew from there. People started supporting my movement, they started supporting me, and equal amounts of people started absolutely fucking hating me.
Sure.
I could not stand the message I was putting out there, because I'd get quite vulgar on things, I'd get really emotional about it, but I didn't care because I was very passionate, and people could feel the passion when I was speaking. They could feel when I was talking about issues that I see in the fitness industry, with females starving themselves, hormonal problems, all that kind of stuff, all the stuff that like you hate to see as well, and everybody hears about but nobody's stopping. I'd get really passionate about it. I can even feel myself firing up now. I'm like, I hate that, I don't want to see it. But before I made that change, I would look at it and I would go, I hate it, I don't want to see it, but I'm no different from every other Tom, Dick and Harry that's complaining about how much they hate it. Nobody else is doing anything about it, so I got to do something about it. And when I started doing something, I saw that people were following, and I also saw people were objecting, which is fine. The people that were objecting, I learned how to deal with that. I learned how to just take it on the chin and go, cool, you're objecting, that's okay with me, that's fine. I'm just going to focus on the people that follow my cause and follow my movement.
Sure.
And from there, yeah, things have just grown to finally be the business that I want it to be. And it's something that I'd wanted for the last 6 years, and I didn't know the direction to take things. I didn't know how to scale anything. I didn't know how to bring anything to the fitness industry, and specifically on the nutrition side of things, that would actually help people at scale. Now I can, and now I know how to. And it made a big shift for me about 3 months ago, where I just went, you know what, I don't want to work with people anymore. I don't want to do one-on-one stuff with people anymore. I've got my team that I can train up. I want them to be able to be me. I want them to know how I got from having no clients to taking on 120 people without an issue. I want them to know how I get consistent leads coming in all the time. I want to be able to do that for them, because I built this baby up, and I'm like, hey, I've got this thing here that's like a money generator that I can give to you, because I don't want the money for it. I want the impact. Like, the impact's what I want, and the money just comes as a part of that, and it helps me build a bigger impact. So how about you take the money for it, and you just help me create the impact? And once I shifted to doing that, I just felt so much more complete. Yeah. I went through a whole lot of ups and downs personal life in that time period, and it was terrible, but focusing on that mission and that cause was what kept me through, and that made me guided throughout every other aspect of my life, because I kind of go, right, I was a bit of a rat bag as a kid, and even in my early 20s I was all over the place. I was quite scattered, didn't know what I wanted to do, which is quite normal for people at that age, I guess. Yeah. Didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't have a direction. I had an idea, but I didn't know how to follow it, and I didn't know how to pursue it. It was one of those things that's in the clouds and I couldn't take action. So there's all these little things along the way, but I didn't know which cloud to step on to get me to heaven. I was just like jumping and hoping that I would bounce on this like cloud trampoline, right, and I would just like fall through every single one that I go to. I'm like, oh fuck, here I am again. Yeah. So then it felt like I sort of just found it. And since I've reached that point, I built that clarity, and I was like, no, you know what, like fuck, I'm moving in the right direction. This is cool. And more people started following that and started supporting that. And that's how it transitioned from Nutrivolve to Physique Coach. So Physique Coach is my way of going, hey, Physique Coach is me, but it's also everybody else that have come underneath me that I've trained up to be little mini-me's that support my cause. And there's people that do the jobs that I can't do. Like James, for example, he does nutrition better than I could ever do. Like his knowledge on that is ridiculous. James Kuhn. Right. He's ridiculous, right? Absolute gun.
He's having a go. He just needs a little bit more of this, I think, to
exactly.
Like, I don't know James super well. I think he does. I think he comes from a really genuine place.
Yeah.
And I think he's just only going to get better.
Exactly. And from when I took him on, like I took him on nearly 2 years ago now.
Right. Okay.
And so it's a long time ago, and I've seen the way that he works with clients. I've seen the way that he puts his effort and his attention into them. And for me, he would get reports and check-ins done quicker than what I would. Yeah. And
he's very systemic.
It's very systemic.
Yeah, and you can see him in just the way that he...
And I looked at that and I learned to just go, hey, you are so much stronger than me at this. So how about you do it and you run with it, because this is your game. Like, I've built it all up for you. This is what you wanted. So here, go for it, because you're the king at this. It's not me. Like, I can pull myself out of that and pass it to you, and then I can guide you on how to just get better and better. And so we did that, and he loved it. And same with Sean, building him up, took him on to start doing my media. And I absolutely loved advertising, marketing, all that kind of stuff. I loved it because I was so shit at it. And I just wanted to get good at it. I wanted to get better. And then people started responding to some of the ads, and people started responding to how I was on social media and the information I would put out there, the funny stuff, the horrible stuff, the sad stuff, the happy stuff, all of it. People just loved it. And I was like, wow, like, this is cool. This is something that I can get obsessed about. This is my little baby that I know nobody else in my business can do.
Well, no, that's no one else in the world can do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? That's one of the biggest things that people don't realize. They're like, find your niche. It's like, no, just unbecome who you're not, and then let that person speak, because that person is your niche.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you do that relatively well. I think you do it obvious.
Yeah.
I think you're a little bit highly caffeinated.
Well, that's the thing. I can do these now where it's not like I'm showing a different personality, but I know when I'm on camera, and I know how to go, right, you've got to show people something. And the reason why I do it, which is what most people don't see, is that people aren't going to pay attention to me if I'm not like that.
Totally.
They will to an extent, but they're not the people that I want. Because to me, if I'm going to bring somebody into my community of clients specifically, I need them to get along with everybody else. So if I'm swearing at people, if I'm having a laugh, if I'm dressing up taking the piss out of fitness models, you better have a laugh with me. If you don't, if you find that offensive, I completely respect that, and I do apologize that you find it that way. But you're not the sort of client that I want to take on and bring into my circle.
Sure.
And it came to me looking at, scarcity and abundance, right? A lot of people and a lot of trainers, especially in my field, go, there's not enough clients like that for me. So therefore, I need to help everybody that wants to step on stage. I need to help everyone that wants to be a fitness model. And I go, no. I just want to help the people that I can get along with and have a good life with.
Totally.
And I don't care if I'm not making $1 million. I care about being happy, because I hit that moment of where I was making really good money and I was not happy one bit. And so I just go, right, this isn't worth it for me. And now I can make more while doing the things that I'm really enjoying. And it came down from just redefining my niche of what I wanted to do, but also making sure my movement was towards helping the right people and the people that could communicate and connect with me more than anything.
$80,000 after $80,000, there's no correlation with happiness.
Yeah.
Like going up. So above $80,000, and it could be US dollars, which I suppose is relatively similar because the cost of things are kind of similar. But but $80,000 after that, there's not a continual increase in happiness. Yeah. Which is really interesting.
Of anything, I feel a decrease. I feel more stress the more that I make.
Exactly right.
Yeah, because I go, shit, I need to keep spending more. Like I remember when I dropped 60,000 in US in ads last year. People don't see that. People see Kyle's everywhere. Kyle's got clients who's making money. Kyle's going backwards so that he can get his message out to people, right?
It's impact over income.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean there's no income. It means that your value and your legacy sits on impact.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is a big difference.
Yeah, and when you feel good about that, because that was a big thing for me as well, finding out what I felt best about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool. I could keep that money in the bank and just do fuck all with it. Who knows what I wanted to do with it. I could go away on holiday, I could buy something cool, whatever it is, or I could spend that on making a bigger impact. What am I going to feel better with the day before I die? Yeah. Making a bigger impact.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. For sure. Look, I completely align with you. It's interesting being in the fitness space as well, and so... the amount of I think I've seen you rant about this before, about like fitness business coaches, and it's like, okay, now there's a couple of good ones, sure, absolutely. Like a couple of great ones, and even ones that aren't good ones, can they help someone who's starting out in business? Absolutely, probably, yeah. I'd say they could. The thing is it's just understanding that a lot of them, if they've never owned a business, they're not fitness business coaches. And like, that's the thing, like I'm not I do mentoring, and I can give advice in the business sense, but I'm like, dude, like you got to sit down and figure out fucking Facebook ads, man. Exactly. Like that's what you got to do that. Like I'm not doing that shit for you. I don't do it extremely well, and I kind of know the basics, but I'm not a business coach. What I do is have a business that has good culture, has a good community, has fantastic coaches, and has a fucking meaning behind it. Yeah. Right. There's a mission that's just it's felt. Yeah. It's not even said. And I'm like, that's what matters. And I just spent the last week down in Melbourne running seminars down there, and spent my 3-day intensive that I do with a couple of guys at Momentum PT, performance training, right? And it's like they go, how do we... They're agreeing with everything that I'm talking about, right? Which would be like, the 3-year email over the 12-week transformation. Yeah. Okay. And the 3-year email, the precedence of that is basically like, when someone inquires with me and I'm talking to them, often I'll say, look, here's an idea of what it is that we do and why we do what we do. I'm not interested in a 12-week transformation so that I can get a before and after photo and market it on my social media. Yeah. I kind of don't care about that. What I'm interested in is a 3-year email. I want an email in 3 years saying I can go back and play soccer with my 18-year-old son. Exactly. I can go back and and they're talking about the memories they're creating with their family, a goal that they've always done. I've had clients be like, dude, thank you so much. I went and traveled overseas by myself. Yeah. What's that got to do with fitness? No, it's not. It's everything. Yeah, it's the same with me. Like I had a conversation with a potential client last night on the phone because we do sales calls all the time. Yeah. And I always ask them why they want to step on stage. Because competing, like to me,
I've done it for a long time. Yes, it's my industry. Yes, I'm passionate about it. I think it's fucking stupid.
Sure.
Because it's a lot to drain on you, and I've also seen all the horrible things that happen with it. Now that caused me to create that movement of going, I need to make it the right way.
This is what's interesting, just to jump in quickly.
Yeah.
People think that I don't like bodybuilding.
Yeah.
It's like, I've got mates, and I know people like Kai Green's like one of my top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
I fucking love the guy because he's him.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And he loves that and he breathes it. You're like, cool, like do that shit. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, and the same thing is like people like yourself and other people in the industry that do that and they breathe it and that's them. It's like, I fucking love that. I don't. I know you agree with me this. I don't give a fuck what it is.
Yeah.
If it's your passion, run.
Yeah, if you like it, go with it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And for me, like when I was talking to this dude, I said to him, I was like, so what's actually getting on stage mean to you? What's the whole point of it? Why are you doing it in the first place? And for him, I dug into him and I found out it was because he's very like self-conscious and it's a confidence thing for me. And I said to him, I was like, dude, at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck if you get on stage in 20 weeks time and you win. I care more about the fact that you can go out to dinner with your family and not have to stress and worry about the thing that you're putting into your body. You can just go, hey, you know what? I will have a chicken schnitty that's not put on a fucking food
just
scale.
A big chicken nugget.
Exactly, yeah. Or the fact that like you can go down the beach and take your shirt off for the first time and go, hey, look at me, motherfuckers, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what makes an impact to me, not winning things, because I've done that.
See,
like,
that's the thing about confidence. Confidence is that I don't care, not the I'm bigger than.
Exactly.
I'm leaner than, I'm sexy. That's not confidence.
No.
Because you're measuring against something that's not you.
Yeah.
Confidence is
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, absolutely. People can't listening. I'm just shrugging my head. Like shrugging my head. How do you shrug your head? There's only Dave can do that. Yeah.
They wouldn't have seen that either.
Yeah, that's right.
I just cranked my neck.
yeah. So crank. Anyway, so yeah, I agree. That's what confidence is. And it's like, you know, people are, and I talk about this in all of my, in so many of my podcasts. It's like, it's called conditional happiness that they're referring to. I'll be happy when. It's like, no, that's not actually, and people mistake happiness for excitement all the time.
Yeah.
They go, I'm really happy. I'm like, no, you're excited.
Yeah.
You're excited because you're thinking about a possible future that you like.
Yeah.
And that's not happiness.
So where are you right now?
Yeah, exactly right. Happiness is peacefulness, right? That's what it is. It's being at peace.
Being content.
When I'm at peace, I don't care.
Yeah.
You're you. You'll do what you do, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
And that's happiness because I'm not in this sense of judgment. I've let go of that. And people confuse that all the time.
Yeah.
And they think that there's this conditional happiness that when I'll be happy when. And as soon as that comes into play, what happens, and school actually teaches us this.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not like we shouldn't sacrifice part of today for a better tomorrow. We should. But when we start conditioning ourselves to have this condition for our happiness, for our confidence, all that sort of stuff, it's like, you know, when I look better, I'll have more self-confidence. No, you won't. You'll have more body confidence.
Yeah.
That's different. And if you want body confidence, go to the gym and learn how to move things around because then you've got confidence in your body.
In your body, yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Self-confidence is confidence in the self, in the psyche, in your personality, in who you are as a human being and showing up in the world today. And that's different. And so you want a shortcut to self-confidence, then stop putting conditions on it.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. So
it's crucial. And I think like in that sort of... Dude, I got something in my eye. I'm crying. You're making me cry. No, like it's interesting in so for example you talk about physique stuff and like people might have conditions for that like we're talking about and some people don't like you know that's cool as well and even if you do if you're aware of it okay whatever like make your own decision your own person but people do it with CrossFit right people do it with powerlifting comps people do we have this fascination with the industry at the moment to create these short-term amateur athletes that have long-term physical issues
exactly
it's like before
What's the point?
Your kid doesn't give a fuck.
You know, I talk to people all the time that come into me and they want to get started in the sport because I'm training a big movement now of trying to get people first timers. Now, I used to hate working with first time people. I was like, you know, fuck all about gym. You don't know anything about nutrition. You don't know about how to diet anything. You don't know how to look at food. This is going to be a recipe for disaster because it's so much time and effort. And then again, that wasn't aligning with my cause. And now I'm like, I don't want to see anybody starting off on the wrong foot. So if I'm not helping out those people, I know I'm one of the only people that can help them out the right way. I know I'm one of the only ones that gives a fuck about their confidence and their happiness, not just their trophy that they're going to get at the end of it. So I need to start reaching out and helping out those people that haven't done anything before. Like I wrote a plan out for someone this morning that was like, all I care about you doing is that you have 3 meals. I don't even give a fuck about what's in them. Like right now you're binging all the time. So I want you to just make sure that you can commit to 3 consistent things in a day and then tell me what you had.
Dude.
That's it. Right?
That's coaching.
Yeah, exactly.
What could you do that you would do.
Exactly, yeah. Not here's like X amount of grams 6 times a day. Like, you're not going to follow that. Right now, you just got to figure out how you can get some minimal kind of consistency to your day. And then you can get yourself back on track, and then you can build on that from there. But if you can't do that, don't expect to do the other bit. Don't expect to go further with it. Like, you can have dreams of stepping on stage, but you don't know where to start. And so I wanted to find out where people's starting points were and take it from there. But most people, like, they try to get started and then they just feel completely lost because they don't get tied to a certain meaning or a certain cause for themselves as to why they're even doing it in the first place. And so they get that happiness feeling from, oh, I'm going to step on stage and then that's going to be the cause for my happiness. And then they get off, and I see it all the time. Like, just to throw a number out there, I'd say 75% of people will step on stage, come off, and then they will look nothing like that ever again, and then they're miserable for the next year. And then I will be the one that gets the email in a year's time going, Kyle, I fucked up, can you help me? And then I feel like I've failed because I'm like, what have I taught you? Nothing. I haven't coached you. I've dictated you.
Yeah, so there's one of the things that I teach in the connected coaching seminars is codependent patterns.
Yeah.
And so understanding this, it's like, well, a codependency has a drama cycle.
Yeah.
And so there's a victim, an aggressor, and a rescuer. Now that could be in a relationship, like I'd say, going back on the start of the conversation, like domestic violence is definitely like that kind of conversation. But people don't realize that there's also like people do that with things.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm a victim to the day, and my rescue is coffee.
Yeah.
And so I have a codependency to that. And so now I build my whole psyche around that.
Yeah. If I don't have coffee, my day's ruined.
Yeah. For sure.
I can't be efficient without coffee.
Totally. Yep. Absolutely. Or, I hate people, right? Because people are horrible. And so then people go into veganism or things like that, right? There's a whole range of things. It's not that people shouldn't be a vegan. Like, make your own decisions, do the research. And, if you had a vegan that berated someone else and you had a vegan that just did their own thing, okay, 2 different fucking people.
Yeah, like, exactly.
We're looking at the person.
If you tell me you're a vegan within 30 seconds, I probably don't care. But if you tell me you're a vegan, like, at some point in the conversation, maybe an hour down the track, or if I can just pick up on the fact that you're a vegan because you don't have any shoes on, cool, sweet.
Right, yeah. Well, AJ doesn't have shoes on, but he definitely eats pizza. So we just got joined by Shara. Shara, you can wave at the camera and say hello. Hey guys.
Shara was talking about how we were going to sit on Shara.
Yeah, speaking of vegans.
Yeah. Look at the size of the barbecue. He's hit some solid broccoli.
Yeah.
Those edamame beans.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's looking at those codependent patterns and going, okay, well, how many trainers actually create codependency with their clients? And this is the whole idea of you don't take your clients' wins.
Yeah.
And you don't take their losses either.
Yeah.
Because your client needs to have a loss.
Exactly.
If they're having a loss, it's their loss. If you take their loss because you think that's a nice thing to do as a coach, like, no, it's your responsibility for sure, which means your ability to respond. What did you have the ability to respond to?
Yeah.
But if you don't take their losses, because then they don't learn the lessons.
Yeah.
And you become the blame.
Yeah.
And so that it's wrong to do that. And so that's where even in the gym here, people are like, oh, do I have to do this? And I'm like, no, you're a grown-up fucking adult.
Yeah, walk out that door if you want.
The fucking garage door's open.
Yeah.
Man. It's like, you don't have
I walked straight in here. I didn't have to knock.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there was puppies.
Yeah.
It's just like,
this is
I
awesome.
gave you a whiskey.
Yeah.
Like, come on. So
this is the best gym ever. I don't even need to do shit. I'm still going to walk out with abs.
That's right. So the thing is, it's like you don't have to do anything. You get to. And there's a big difference between that. And when someone shifts to that space, it's like, dude, I'm not going to tell you to lift the weight. Like, if you're going to start momentum, which is, action, which is motivation, which is to move towards action, then sure, I'm here with you, man, for sure. But I'm here with you, not for you.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference in that. And so it doesn't mean that there's certain stages in a development where you need to lean on someone. You do. And having a good coach, a good support group and all that sort of stuff is crucial for that. But you're a human being. You've got to learn to walk on your own feet.
Yeah, exactly right.
So, and that's the same for business. It's the same in relationships. It's the same with client-coach relationships. It's the same with nutrition. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And so as soon as it becomes I'll take responsibility of stuff that you can take responsibility for. It's like,
exactly.
That's
right.
not a good relationship. You're doing it for you now. You're not doing it for them.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Which is super powerful. So, I'm curious, and I think you might have even answered my question, but you today are not the person that I remember working with at Flames. That means you were at Flames as well.
Were you really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they fired my ass.
Yeah. See, we just both quit. That was okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But
you're the one that set the place on fire, weren't you?
He's like, well, they're deadlifting wrong. Valid. So in that circumstance for you, what was the shift to go from this like nice guy to being, not that you're not a nice guy, but to being I don't give a fuck?
Experiencing a hell of a lot of personal pain
Right.
You know, getting put in a really horrible position that I could not get sympathy for. And it wasn't that I was searching for it. It was that sympathy was not going to benefit me. And I had to turn around, and it made me realize that I'd spent a long time of being that nice guy, where I was actually losing a lot of myself. So the person that I am now is more of an advanced person of what I would have been when you first met me. Okay. I lost a lot of myself in that time period in the middle, and now I finally got that back. But the key to getting that back was for me to experience so much pain that I was able to take myself out and go, Kyle, you need to pull your fucking finger out, because no one's going to do it for you. So therefore you need to take action and start taking steps towards getting the shit that you want. Okay, because I was in a very comfortable spot. I think that's a problem that a lot of people get into, right? Yeah. So before the pain, I was comfortable, and that comfort feeling was very dangerous to me, because I was making decent money. I had a lot of clients on. I was happy with everything, good family. Everything was happy. Everything was sweet. And I can look back at it now and I go, it wasn't sweet because it wasn't challenging to me.
Right.
It wasn't anything that I was working towards that I was happy about. I wasn't creating an impact at all. And it wasn't until I lost it all that I went, fuck, what am I going to do now? And that's what spurred me to go, I need to change. I need to create a shift in myself. I need to start finding the person that I used to be when I was really motivated to do things, when I was always working, not just working in terms of putting in the hours, but actually being productive, getting things done that I said I was going to do. I spent a lot of time where I go, yeah, I'll do that, and then it just never gets done. And I was putting off things left, right, and center because I didn't care about it. I was like, I'm happy. What's the point?
Sure.
Right? And that made me go, no, you just need to start working your way out of it. And when I started doing that, I feel like that reflected back onto my personality, where I could start to see the world a little bit differently. And I wasn't seeing it in a negative space, but it was seeing more when things happened, either to me or to my friends, I could look at it from both sides. Instead of like, this is shit, it was more, this isn't the most ideal situation, so how do I make it ideal for me? And how do I improve upon that? And once I started doing that a few times, and I got out of my little, this is shit, everything's fucked, what do I do? And started going, all right, this isn't the best thing, but how do I get my business back? How do I get my family back? How do I start working towards things? How do I start growing again as a person? Because I hit that reality of like, guess what? No one's going to do it for you. So you're going to have to do it yourself, right? Yeah. And so once that hit in, I just started, like, if people are watching, my hands moving upwards. So I started climbing, and the more that I climbed, the more confident I felt. And the more certain I was getting that what I was doing was going the right way. And not only that, I was feeling as though the message that I was portraying to people was getting well listened to, well respected, and that made me more confident in that message that I was putting out there. So everything just kept sort of like snowballing up a hill. If like Shiro was rolling upwards, he'd be covered in snow, and he'd just be this gigantic ball of like happy snow. Happy snow. And so like this Shiro ball is up the top, but at the same point I had to be really cautious, because if I stopped pushing this ball of Shiro, he was gonna fucking crush me if he started going back down the hill. They're like, that's 130 kilos of meat slogging down on this like 60 kilo vegan, right? So that's going to be a big crush, right? And so I made myself become very aware of that, to go, okay, cool, things are starting to go in the right way now, but you've got to still make sure that you manage it so that you don't let go of that momentum, And so that's what leveled me out from being like happy, nice guy, to being super angry bloke, to being, all right, let's pull that down and meet somewhere in the middle, to just look at everything really objectively and go, how do I make sure that I maintain this and grow with this and get good with that? And what's really important right now? Like, is it important that I stay in the same spot? Because if I stay in the same spot, I'm not going to be able to push Share up the hill. If I take one step, am I going to push Share, or am I going to fall backwards? So therefore I go, what step do I take that's going to be the best one possible, that's still somewhat risky, but lets me still get a little bit further up my Share hill?
I mean, it's challenging. So, I mean, for knowing you for so long, and you were a genuinely really nice kid, and now that doesn't mean that you're not now. I think
now I'm a piece of shit.
Well, I think now you have an inner child that is still that genuinely nice person, right? And I feel there's a certain warmth with that. However, there's this display of confidence, and it's almost I would say leaning into cockiness without it being cockiness. And then having a conversation with you again today with this, it's just like, I know you well enough to know that what I see on social media is like a caffeinated version of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so then catching up again today is just like a great refresher of just like this individual here who's very level-tempered and able to, you know, articulate sentences as well and do that sort of stuff. Now, you mentioned about like no one's coming to save you sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, one of the things before I went to America was like, dude, none of these people that I want to go learn from are coming to Canberra to see me.
Yeah.
And so it was like, right, I need to do the same thing. But going over there, and I've been to like 40 different gyms in the States with some seriously decent sized names in the industry. It's like watching them on social media, then meeting them in person. It's just a caffeinated version of them.
Yeah, exactly,
you know?
right.
Like they're just literally that little bit extra. They just got their head above the crowd that little bit more. And it's like, right, that's really interesting. And it's just seeing that sort of stuff. But I think the power is in the vulnerability as well of being able to go, well, what's an honest conversation? Because it allows people to relate back to us better.
Exactly, yeah.
And so it's a lot of the reasons why I'll talk about things such as anxiety or depression and you know, domestic violence and tell a story and do that sort of stuff, because it's like, well, no. We share those stories not because they're so unique. We share those stories because they're actually really common.
And they're relatable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think we all have a story, a variation of that.
And how do you get somebody to trust you if they don't relate to you?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because we go back onto the business coach side of things, and it's just like, well, how many of those people do we only see a particular side of?
Yeah.
It's like, you can't trust that. You only see a particular side.
Yeah. I see the bloke showing his Lambo spraying like paint on it, going, "Hey, I'm Ty Lopez, take my money."
Right.
Yeah.
That guy does have a lot of money.
He does, yeah.
So
he's the one person I look up to. I'm like, you know what, you got a lot of money.
Yeah.
Other than the other guys that are like, hey, I can make 100K. I'm like, cool.
Yeah. It's really interesting. So the book Mask of Masculinity, which is an okay book by Lewis Howes, it's not too bad. I don't think it's as good as King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, which I do recommend to every male to read. But he actually talks about Ty in that book, and so one of the masks he talks about is a material mask. And so that he was basically saying Ty is the material mask of masculinity. So he hides his masculinity behind the things that he has.
Yeah.
And so as opposed to, you'll see some people hide their masculinity behind how they're perceived on social media, as in their physicality and so on and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And it's really quite interesting because it almost goes into like an archetype conversation going, well, who are you when you don't have that stuff? Right? So you know, the physique coach is no longer there. Who are you? And if you're confident with that person, then that's power.
Exactly.
And that's where the crucial thing is. It's like, if everything was taken away from you, who would you be?
Yeah.
Then would you be okay with that person?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, there's a codependency.
Yeah.
There's an issue.
I think for me, like, it's very cool that you brought that up, because when everything was taken away from me, that's what made me evolve into the person that I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So therefore, if I was to lose things again, which did happen very recently, a couple of months back, I was still the same person. So for me, I'm like, hey, I know what it was like last time. I know what it's like again. I'm not going to change. I'm just going to get better. And it's the same process. I just keep pushing Sher up the hill.
Yeah. I'll give you a hand.
Yeah, I'm going to need a few more hands in it.
Yeah. Just now? You walked in to see 2 5'2", 60 kilogram beings. Weren't you excited?
These blokes aren't wearing shoes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Don't they have cold feet? Why are they so hairy? Just the feet.
It smells in here. Smells like organic beans.
Yeah. Smells like lust. What? Oh, that's really interesting, man. Look, I think that's probably what we've got time for today. Anyway,
cool.
Thank you very much for jumping on. For those that have made this far, if they want to find out more from the Physique Coach, where should they go?
Check me out.
Right now?
On Pornhub somewhere.
Pornhub? I do appreciate that.
Instagram at the Physique Coach AU or Facebook / the Physique Coach is where they can find me.
Yeah.
Or they can find me probably on most of their ads if they're scrolling through any sort of fitness things, because I will pop up fucking everywhere.
Yeah, which you do.
Which I do.
Yeah. I always watch them.
And
I'm like, what does it do?
I want you to hack it. I get a big kick out of people seeing my ads and saying, hey, this ad was really effective. How did you do it?
Right.
There you go. I love it, because to me, I'm like, hey, all right, cool. I see people screenshotting ads that they've seen of me on like war pages and grocery catalogs and stuff. People that are interested in fitness, I'm like, all right, I'm crushing it.
Yeah.
And then when people ask me about it, I'm like, hey, this is what I can teach you.
I think I went to troll you on one of your photos on Instagram once.
Yeah.
Just like a month or two ago.
Yeah.
It was one. It was about your calves. And then I was like, calves photoshopped. So it was something like that.
Yeah.
And then there was no response, and I was like, oh,
Souls, bro.
a little dead. I went and ate meat because of that.
Oh.
Thanks, man.
You went and ate meat.
Yeah. No hate to vegans.
Yeah,
Seriously.
I prayed to my hay bale.
Prayed to my hay bale. Yeah, then ER. Oh, that's great, mate.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I will probably peg you around
You can peg me whenever you want. On that note, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
How do you turn this thing off?
Yeah, there you go. I'll get you back on another time as well.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thanks, brother.